Yep. Okay. Well, welcome to tonight's bee competition. It's our fourth and final bee competition of the year. Before we get started, do have some announcements. So let me go through these real quick. The announcements. Here, I can do it. There we go. Okay. As we've been saying, the clubhouse, we want to make sure everyone understands what the clubhouse hours are. The clubhouse is open for all scheduled classes. They are live in-person events. They're also live streamed and recorded and available to be viewed 24/7 by students that are registered for the class. The clubhouse is also open for all scheduled competitions. However, this is the second last competition. We have one more photojournalism, but those are live and in-person events, and they're also live streamed, recorded, and available for viewing on YouTube. Unless otherwise noted, we are not going to be opening up the clubhouse for any Zoom presentations, at least anything that's scheduled through March. We're thinking about opening up April 1st for Zoom, having people able to come to the clubhouse and watch the Zoom presentation in the clubhouse. And if they can't do that, they can watch from home. But the links for those Zoom presentations are sent out usually the Wednesday before the presentation. And these are members only presentations, and they are recorded unless the speaker asks us not to record them. They're recorded for future viewing by club members, but they will not be available on YouTube. Again, these are the speaker's source of income, and they don't want to just throw it out in the public domain. So they're willing to do it for members, but not beyond that. Updated COVID considerations. All persons attending Friday meetings in person through March 19th are required to wear a mask at all times while in the building, no matter what their vaccination status. For classes, we're requiring students and helpers, again, those that attend live classes through March 19th, to wear a mask while they're in the building. After March 19th, we're going to be dropping the requirement to wear a mask in the clubhouse. You're still free to wear a mask if you'd like to. If you're more comfortable with that, that's fine, but we're not going to require that. And why March 19th? Basically, we will be finishing up, we'll be done with the competitions with the exception of the photojournalism, and the classes, the winter classes will be ended by then. And that's given us a little bit of time to see how things have gone with the no mask mandate. We're strongly encouraging all non-vaccinated members and students to attend meetings and classes virtually for the time being. And we might have to reimpose the mask requirement if COVID numbers start to rise again. Hopefully that will not happen. We'll be done with these masks soon, I hope. All right, upcoming competitions. We do have one more left. That's March 25th. It's a photojournalism night, and the deadline for entry is March 23rd. So that will finish up the competitions for the club year. We do have a year-end competition that will be held in May. We will have details on that coming soon, and Lori's going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes to give you some idea of what's involved there. All right, upcoming speakers. Next week, we have a members-only Zoom presentation by Peter Baumgarten. It's called Shoot for the Stars. He talks about astrophotography and landscape. Should be a very interesting discussion. We are not going to open up the clubhouse for that one. So again, the links for that will be sent out the Wednesday before. On April 1st, we have a members-only Zoom presentation. Doug Hansgate is going to talk about image sizing, using Photoshop and other things to change the size of your image. We are planning to open up the clubhouse for that. We tried this once before with the Zoom sessions. We opened up the club and hoped people would come in and watch the Zoom from here, and we got like 3 or 4 people coming. So Jen was probably our most faithful participant. So we decided it wasn't worth doing it, but now hopefully with the mask mandate lifted and we're in the warmer weather coming, we're going to try again and we'll see how well that works. On April 8th, we have a members-only Zoom presentation by Lisa Kuchara, who had given another presentation in the past. This one will be on light painting. It won't be like the one that Chuck Fitzgerald did where you go outside and you're using big flashlights and stuff. It'll be more tabletop, at least that's my understanding, a little bit more actually painting an image with light. So it should be interesting. Now, Lisa has asked us not to record the meeting. We're still up in the air as to whether or not we're going to have the clubhouse open, but one way or the other, the Zoom presentation will be held either from home or in the clubhouse, but it will not be recorded, so it will not be available in the future. So if you want to see it, you're going to have to tune in to that particular Zoom session. Some upcoming field trips. One of the other things that we're sort of famous for are our field trips. And again, because of COVID, those have been sort of on a hiatus, but we are starting to pick up with that. So we do have on March 27th, Bedford Reservation Waterfalls. They're going to start at the Great Falls of Tinker's Creek and then go to Bridal Veil Falls and Deer Lick Falls. And you can get some more information on that in the website on the calendar. I know they're starting very early in the morning because that's a good time to photograph waterfalls. But if you're interested, that's one you can look at. Check the calendar out. On April 1st, that's a Friday in the morning from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., the piston-powered Autorama. And I think there was an email that was sent to all members on that. So again, you can look in the calendar for some more information on that. And then on April 3rd, we're going to go back to one of our more popular sites, the B&O Roundhouse, where they kind of rebuild locomotives and all kinds of old train stuff. And it's a very, very interesting place. I've been there several times and really enjoy it. It's great for photography. So that's April 3rd. And again, that's a Sunday. And I believe memory serves, I think it starts around 10 o'clock, but you should check the calendar for details on that. All right. Also, we are restarting our mentoring program. It is a members-only program. The kickoff will be on Tuesday, March 29th. And basically, we've got people that have volunteered to mentor other photographers. So on the 29th, you'll get a chance to listen to all the mentors. They let them talk about what types of cameras they use and what kind of photography they're interested in. And you get a chance to see them. And then if you're interested in being a mentee, you can choose one of those mentors to work with. And then we'll assign mentees to mentors and kick the program off. So there will be more information available in the snapshot, and other information will be sent out soon. Okay, registration for spring classes is open. We're going to be doing fundamentals of photography, Photoshop editing, and Lightroom. And you can see the starting dates on each of those. Lightroom actually starts in 2 weeks, so I've got a lot of work because I'm one of the Lightroom instructors. Okay, and then we just basically want you to know that you can watch this and many of our Friday evening meetings at your convenience on our YouTube channel. There's a link on the CPS website homepage. So if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see the little YouTube button, so you can click on that, and that'll take you right to our YouTube page. Or you can go to YouTube and search for Cleve Photographic. And you can subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be notified whenever a new video is posted. All right, so again, I want to welcome you to our fourth and final B competition for the 2021-2022 year. Tonight we have 22 images, and let's introduce our judges for this evening. Our first judge is Rob Eric. Rob has been a CPS member since 2006. He's a past president and has served as a board member, competition chair, and field trip chair, and pretty much a person that did it all. So He's currently the club secretary and the school director. He enjoys nature, architecture, and night photography, and uses Photoshop and Nix software to refine his images. He's been published in 3 books and numerous publications in the Cleveland Restoration Society. His work has been used to support 2 successful nominations to the National Register of Historic Places. Working with new photographers to help them discover their own favorite subjects and develop their personal passion for photography is one of Rob's greatest joys. Helping CPS fulfill its mission, photographers helping photographers. And Rob's been a big help to everyone. Our second judge is Barb Pennington. Barb, you want to at least stand up and wave to the multitude? Okay. For Barb, after raising a family, worked as a director of sales and marketing in the hotel industry for 16 years, accepted a newly developed position at Euclid Hospital as a patient advocate and advanced to director of patient and volunteer services. 8 years later, her husband started a funeral supply business, and she joined him, accepting administrative duties. When she retired from Euclid Hospital, she received a Nikon camera as a retirement gift. She joined the Cleveland Photographic Society in 2004 and began taking classes and networking with new photo friends, learning how to use that Nikon camera. She moved on to the technical side and learned Photoshop. She began offering her photography pro bono to local nonprofit agencies to gain experience, leading to photographing families and children for compensation. She served as the CPS hospitality chairperson, developed the mentoring program, which we talked about earlier, and served on the board twice, currently a board member. Competed in competitions for years, which helped to hone her skills and develop and help newer members. Her love of photographing portraits energized her to recently publish her first softcover book, titled Extraordinary Women from an Ordinary Place, a 3-year project with photographs honoring 52 women ages 60 to 94. And she was actually interviewed. Her interview was broadcast on television this afternoon. And through CPS, she has made lifelong friends, developed a craft which allows her to gift, surprise, create memories, and an opportunity to always pay it forward. And she makes great bread. And our final judge is Dave Saborik. You want to stand up, Dave, and just let people see your face there? The real face, not what's up on the screen. Dave retired from teaching in 2011. What did you teach, by the way? 8th grade English. Oh, brutal time. And at that time, turned to photography as a hobby and a creative outlet. He joined the Cleveland Photographic Society in 2015 and immediately began taking classes and entering competitions. He enjoys participating in the many opportunities offered by CPS, with community service being one of his favorites. He serves as chairman of the black and white competitions. Okay. Just for those that may not know, our judging criteria, each judge will score an image on a scale of 5 to 9. The final score for each image is the total of all 3 judges' scores, and images are judged on 3 criteria: impact, composition, and technique. Now, our judges have seen the images at home and have done the judging, so the scoring is done, but they're here to comment on the images as they come up. Before we actually get to the images, though, I'm going to have Lori come up and talk a little bit about the year-end competition, among other things.
Good evening. The year-end competition, for those who are unfamiliar, the gathering room and out there that has all the images on it, those are the year-end pictures from last year. Every year we have a year-end competition. It will be coming up here in a couple weeks. What it is any competition that you have entered, any image that you have entered, it did not have to place, is eligible to be entered into year-end, up to 3 images per category. So in the bee competition, you were allowed to enter up to 3 pictures that you have done all year in bee into the bee competition. Again, it did not have to place. Oh, I'm so
all
sorry.
right.
I wasn't in the right spot. Every year, we do have one image at least on that back wall from some category that never placed in a competition. So this is for real. It never had to place. You will be getting an email to say how to upload this year, because even though we did 3 print competitions here in B, all the year-end images will have to be submitted digitally like it was for tonight. The only thing we're going to ask is, first of all, is make sure that when you submit digitally, you have a full-size digital copy. In case you're picked for the back wall, you can have it printed. The tentative dates that I got from the competition chair today is that around March 20th, so not this Sunday, but next Sunday, it will start to open up for those images to be uploaded to Shutterscore. Tentatively, that will be cut off on April 10th. So you'll have like 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3 full weeks to come up with images and submit them. The big criteria, you cannot have changed the original submitted image. So you can't have gotten comments that said, oh, I would have cropped this, I would have done this, whatever. You cannot change the original image. It must be the same original image that was submitted for its original photography, for its original competition. Approximately 2 weeks later, the judging will commence, or maybe end. I don't know what the computer gurus do at that point. And then shortly thereafter, generally at the town hall meeting, but are we having a live town hall meeting in May?
Yes, and not in May, in April. I think it's April. I'm going from memory here. I think it's the 23rd.
Oh, the judging won't even have started. Normally we have a night where we have a thing where we give out all the awards.
Oh, okay. That's different than the town hall meeting.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
apologize.
Yeah.
I'm getting all my
That's a year-
my things.
A year-end celebration.
Oh, the year-end some way, somehow, we're going to let you know whether you won. Okay. Like I don't know how they're going to do it this year. All right. Anyway. And then if you do win, then again, we're going to ask that, you must bring in a print. There is no bee competition picture back there right now. Somebody won last year. They never gave us the print. So all we're asking is that if you're going to do this, and we hope you do, please do it with the intent to give the picture if you win. We really do want to see a representation of every category on the back wall. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact myself, the overall competition chair, Bill. But the emails will be going out probably in the next week. I think Bill says he's actually going to open that link up before the last photojournalism, because photojournalism isn't technically a competition. But I just want to make everybody aware that this is open. Your members, so please, please, please consider doing it. All right, and with that, we will get on with the competition. Mike will be reading Rob's comments tonight since Rob can't be here. All right, and good luck to everybody.
Okay, let's, oops. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I looked at this image and it tells me that it's the beginning of fall foliage with all the yellows and oranges starting to emerge. I think you have some choices here. You could crop about a third of this image off on the right, excuse me, and crop the foreground just below the tree trunk, because all of this on the bottom here doesn't really add anything to it, in my opinion. And then I think it would draw your eye into the large tree on the left and make the image more dramatic. But remember, this is only an opinion, and it's what makes you happy. You should do what makes you happy.
All right, that's Be Still and Know I Am God by Cindy DeRose, 20 points.
Wow, this image certainly grabbed my attention. The bright reds and yellows of the flower create impact, and the yellow of the bee complements the yellows in the flower. Even though the colors of the flower are very bright, they seem natural without excessive saturation or excessive contrast. Using the golden ratio to place the flower's center on one of the sweet spots draws my eye to that part of the composition. Exposure is spot on. All of the flower except the upper left and lower right are in sharp focus. Use of a slightly more closed aperture might have captured the entire flower in sharp focus.
Bee Collecting Pollen by Gary Bloom, 24 points, second place.
Just so you know, we normally clap for anything that places. So, all right. Rob's comments on this. Nice skyline shot on a dreary day. Well placed in the frame, framed nicely on the left and right, pleasingly off center on the vertical. Straight horizon. Okay, so all those are kind of key elements in composition. Choice of time and day is the real drawback here. This is a shot that doesn't change and can be taken at any time. Plan another visit on a clearer day with a better sky and a little sun, and you'll have a great image.
Cleveland or Brigadoon, Gary Bloom, 20 points.
I love this image. It invites me to walk along with you in it looks like a tourist area now closed for the season. Perhaps it was a little foggy. The stillness of the image makes me mentally visualize the window open and children waiting in anticipation for ice cream. Photographically, it's a bit soft, but it sets the mood. Nice capture.
Close for the season, Jennifer Gaba, 19 points.
For me, the strength of this image is that the subject matter and the muted colors created an emotion in my heart and a story in my mind. I picture a young woman peering through the window of a bridal shop and longing for one of those dresses to be hers. It's all very sad. Usually, reflections in an image are not desirable, but these reflections let me know that I am looking through a window. The viewer is on the outside looking in. To me, the red hangers don't match the tone of the image, so I would crop them out. Also, my eye is drawn to the wavy edge of the curtains at the top of the photo. Cropping down just a little bit from the top might eliminate that distraction.
Ghostly Wedding, Jennifer Gaba, 18 points.
All right, Rob's comments. Interesting study of the baskets. Well seen. Exposure is good and the image is sharp. Not sure if there were distracting elements above and or below, but ideally this would benefit from more room on the vertical so that the top of the left basket and the bottom of the middle basket were visible. Bottom line, a little tight in the frame, but otherwise a pleasing image. I would agree with Rob's comments. I'm just going to throw a few things in here. It's important, unless you're doing it for some particular reason, to, give the image a little bit of room, give the objects in the image a little bit of room. So that probably would have helped here rather than cutting things off. Either that or come in really close and, make it obvious that you intended to cut things off.
Handmade Baskets, Renee Lucas, 21 points.
This is a wonderful capture of a heron, but being that he or she is the subject, you could isolate him more by cropping off a third of the bottom The background is also quite busy, but of course, you know, you can't tell the heron where he's supposed to park, so you can get a good photograph of him. So if you were able, you might try giving the heron a tad more saturation to intensify the color so he doesn't blend into the foliage behind him so much.
Heaven Bound, Cindy DeRose, 23 points, third place.
My compliments to the maker of this image for capturing this majestic animal. Looking at the image, I can imagine the excitement of the photographer. The exposure is spot on. Also, the focus is right where it needs to be, on the eyes and antlers of the buck. Fortunately for the photographer, he or she was in the right place at the right time. Unfortunately, there was a tree or tree branch slicing right through the heart of the deer. Cropping in from the left and down from the top might eliminate a little of the distraction and focus more on the buck.
King of the Woods, John Newcomb, 23 points, third place.
All right, Rob's comments. Gorgeous image, well framed and well exposed. Foreground elements add weight to the image and anchor it well. Frozen elements give the impression of a long exposure. The horizon is straight and nicely placed in the frame. The people give a sense of scale, and the tower or lighthouse, whatever that is, adds a nice visual point of interest. Perhaps darken the sky a bit to enhance the beautiful colors, but that's a nitpick. Very well done. And I would agree with Rob on that. It's a very nice image.
Oregon Coastline Sunset, Richard Poland, 23 points, third place.
This image is lovely, just enough foliage to support it, and a dark background, which I personally like, to intensify her color. Nice and sharp, but not overdone. Perfect composition, very well done.
Pink Lady, Wendy Kohler, 25 points, first place.
This is an excellent image of the dog, and the snow on its face adds interest and impact. Exposure is excellent, clearly showing the white snow against the dark colors of the dog's fur. The focus is right where it needs to be, on the dog and its eyes. I appreciate being able to see the details and the colors of the dog's fur. Everything looks natural, without excessive saturation or excessive contrast. I might have chosen a vertical or square crop, but the horizontal works perfectly well. Don't change a thing. This is an excellent image.
Snow Dog by John Newcomb, 25 points, first place.
What Rob says, wonderful still life and beautifully exposed. Great balance between the darker foreground elements and the bright view outside the window. Elements are nicely placed with two groupings of three, although I guess there are actually four bowls, and no distracting elements. Shots like this allow the photographer total control, can take as long as necessary. The photographer can take as long as necessary to arrange and compose, and therefore should be almost perfect. The photographer has accomplished this task.
Stone Garden, Wendy Kohler, 23 points, third place.
The circles of bokeh in the background, I think adds a lot to this image, and it's lovely and adds to the music of the image. You might also try rotating it. I kind of tried to do that with my head, try to rotate this and look at it as a vertical. It's a bit soft, but maybe that's the type of sound it was offering.
Violin, Jill Zabka, 22 points.
The long exposure of the waterfalls really captures it beautifully. It clearly shows how the water flows onto and from the rocks as it descends. There is also a beautiful reflection of the waterfalls, which the exposure does an excellent job of capturing. The green leaves on the right of the image are very bright and take up as much space as the waterfalls themselves. Do they add to the image or do they distract from the subject of the photo, which is the waterfalls? Consider cropping over from the right to crop them out. Also, if you revisit this waterfalls, try to avoid including the stem and leaves, which are in front of the reflection.
Waterfall, Silver Falls State Park, Oregon. Richard Poland, 23 points, third place.
Rob says, nice view of the water lilies. Highlights on the surrounding leaves add visual interest without creating annoying distractions. The colors and sharpness are good. Perhaps shift the flowers a little of dead center if possible, and a little more light on the flowers themselves would set them apart and make this image spectacular. And I would agree that maybe a square crop on this might have worked as well too, because you're just focusing really on the water lilies themselves, and the stuff on the side doesn't really add a whole lot to the image other than set maybe a context, but beautiful image.
A lily pad and lotus, Renee Lucas, 22 points.
You captured a lovely winter scene here. I see two images, a possibility of two images, with each tree being your focal point. So you could actually divide this right here to there or here to there. You might also try this in a black and white. You may even zoom in and find some really interesting macro shots within this image as well. So I think this image offers you many, many options to experiment with. Beautiful capture.
A winner's day, Wendy Kohler, 23 points, third place.
This image definitely conveys just how cold it was out there. Despite its minimalism, I can tell that it was a cold, dreary, gray day. Maybe even a stuck in the ice day. Leaving the image in color was a good idea. That way I know that the black of the ship and the gray of the ice in the water are their true colors. I wonder a little bit about the composition. Why did the photographer cut off the number above the 8? For me, it created a little puzzle. Is it a 3 or is it a 5? Did the photographer want me to do this? For me, it distracted from the bleak tone that was originally created by the exposure and focus. I would probably include a little more of the chain and the complete number and less of the open water shown on the bottom part of the image.
Anchor drop, Jennifer Gaba, 21 points.
Rob says, classic winter scene. The male cardinal against the snow never fails to draw the eye, and the photographer has succeeded in capturing that goal. The falling or blowing snow adds to the drama. The image could be a tad sharper. Details in the bird's feathers could help a lot. Hard to control, of course, but the bird is on the left and looking out of the frame. To combat this, perhaps crop as a vertical so that the bird is at the right of the frame. And kind of one of the things that Rob is saying is, if you were to crop, let's see if I can do this here, maybe here, then the bird would be on the right and be looking into the frame, which is something that typically you want to do, not so much if he's looking out of the frame, then the eye wants to follow where he's going, and you end up off the picture. The other thing I would comment on is I think pictures that show a good contrast between colors really are dramatic and jump out. So there's a great contrast between the red of the bird and the sort of blue-gray of the snow, and it really makes him pop out of the picture. So nice job.
Angels All Around Us, Cindy DeRose, 22 points.
Well, it looks like you had quite an adventure in finding this dramatic waterfall. However, there's a lot going on here. You might try, you might try cropping off the foreground a little, because there's a jumble of foliage down here on the lower right and branches that don't add much to your landscape. And even try cropping off a portion on the right. Experiment. Sometimes trying different cropping offers you many new surprises that you hadn't thought about when you looked at the original image.
Behind the Falls, Silver Falls State Park, Oregon, Richard Poland, 20 points.
This image shows a beautiful fall day. I can feel the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the autumn air. Although the photo is somewhat pixelated, it seems to be in sharp focus from the front to the back. There are beautiful elements in the picture, but there are too many of them. The good saying to remember is less is more. Decide what the subject is and focus on that. For instance, either the trees in the center or the reflection in the lower left could be a great subject. You could focus on one of those and eliminate everything else. The white in the clouds is a little blown out, and because of that, the image doesn't look completely natural. I am not sure if the picture was overexposed in the field or overprocessed on the computer, or simply taken with a cell phone in the first place. If the problem was in the field, remember to take multiple exposures. Underexposing will help avoid blowing out the whites.
Holden Pond, John Newcomb, 21 points.
Rob says, nice shot of the rider and horse. While the image appears static in some respects, the flowing hair of the rider helps convey a sense of movement. Colors look a little muted and the image could be a little sharper. The bottom of the image is cropped a bit too tightly. The rider's boot is cut off and the horse is cropped awkwardly. Hard to control when you're shooting moving subjects, but keep shooting and perhaps shoot a little more loose, so zoom out a little bit the next time. And again, what he's saying is kind of what I was saying before. If you had shot out a little bit wider, the horse would have been completely in. At least get the boot. You might not get the legs of the horse, but at least get the boot there. Again, nice contrasting colors between the purple and the yellow makes the rider stand out a bit. So, and again, you can get that sense of action from the flowing hair. So, nice job.
Horse and Rider, Gary Bloom, 22 points.
Well, you selected a lovely bouquet of red roses here. The only one in focus is the one on the left. that's in the most focus. Try cropping everything out but this rose. Zoom in tight so it becomes a macro image. It will be more dramatic, and you might find that you like it much better, because all of this especially on the bottom right, is totally out of focus, as are the baby's breath, and down here on the bottom too. So I think if you just concentrated on this center rose right here, zoomed in, and make that would be a beautiful macro. I think you'd love it.
Rose Reflections, Jill Zabka, 21 points. And that concludes our competition for tonight and for the year. And I want to thank everybody who participated.
Yeah, we want to thank our judges for the time they took to do the comments. And we certainly want to thank all of you who entered. If you have feedback, please send us your feedback, info@clevelandphoto.org. And so again, that concludes tonight's event. If you want more information about competing, or if you want to join the Cleveland Photographic Society, please visit our website, www.clevelandphoto.org.